All right. I want to say shalom, 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 y'all. I'm Michael Israel. You are watching Spiritual Combat. And as you could tell by the title of today's show, we have a good show in line for you. And the title is The Importance of Keeping Careful Watch for Possible Danger. Okay. And you got a lot of verses and things we're going to go through here. Um, and basically, what you just saw, what I put there was a definition of being vigilant. Okay, and I have we're going to really thoroughly define that word because it's imperative, especially for for us as men to be vigilant. And if you could, for whoever's in our house here, can y'all turn it down because I can hear it in here. Somebody has the volume up too loud on whatever they're listening to, so I'm hearing myself in here, an echo. But anyway, um, being vigilant, being aware, you know, being attentive. Okay, it's crucial in this day and age on a spiritual level, and it's also crucial on a um, on a literal level because as the verse says, and we'll read it. First Peter chapter 5 verse 8. Okay, First Peter chapter 5 verse 8. And before I get moving, before I get too deep in this, if you could just let me know how the audio is. Let me know how the audio is coming in. Okay, so please do that if you can. Make sure my mic is right, and then we're gonna get things moving here. So I'll give y'all a sec to just let me give you a sec, do this sound check. Everybody's saying the audio is good. What I want to do, I'm gonna sit back here. Okay, as long as the audio is good. But let's get into this because this is big. Okay, um, and it says First Peter chapter 5 verse 8, and it says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." Okay, so we have to be sober. So that's really being locked in. My thing, I always um, uh, do war analogies. With the saints that are part of Straightway Studios, and that's what we're going to call it. That's what we're calling our assembly, Straightway Studios, because eventually we're going to have a studio. And but that consists of Straightway Nashville and Straightway Florida. But at the beginning of this dead season, this is probably in November, December. I was really adamant with our saints about this verse right here. First Peter, uh, First Peter, chapter 5, verse 8. Just really being sober and being vigilant. And the analogy I was giving them is of us walking. It's a military analogy that the brothers who have been in the Army before told me about being at a FOB, a forward operating base. It's basically a base that's pretty much an enemy territory. But what they talk about is when you go off that base, you got to be locked in. You have a round in the chamber. You got to have what they call your head on a swivel. You're like this, okay? And you got to be, what you're looking for is what? You're looking for the enemy, okay? You're aware, you're being aware of your surroundings. You're being aware of potential ambush points. And, you know, my Army brothers could elaborate on the things that you got to really be aware of, but you really got to be, what do they call it? You hear all types of terms, and it's all talking about this one state of mind. They say you got to be tuned in to your surroundings. What I always tell the saints here in Straightway Studio is you got to be locked in. I say be locked in. You know, are you locked in? You know, there's all, you know, there's all types of, especially in the military. I was in the Air Force. So in the Air Force, they call it attention to detail, you know. For me, it wasn't so much walking around, you know, looking for somebody who could potentially kill you, you know, because the enemy's out there, he can shoot you. So that's the heightened level of being vigilant. But in the Air Force, I was an aircraft mechanic and I was an aircraft engine mechanic. So when you do these jobs, when you do this work on these planes and on these critical components on the airplane, you know, you miss one little thing. It's like a piece of safety wire, a little piece of safety wire. Safety wire is smaller than a grain of rice. You could leave a piece of safety wire that's smaller than a grain of rice. You could leave it somewhere in that engine, and the whole engine would go up in flames in flight. You know, it's little bitty things. So what I had to train myself on doing is never going into a daydream while I'm working on an engine or something like that. And it might sound simple when you hear it. Hold on one sec, y'all. It might sound simple when somebody says that, you know, oh, okay, yeah, just don't daydream. But that is what I had to do. I had to sit there, do these jobs, these long jobs and never just in my awareness or whatever you want to call it, never drift off into thinking about something. I always had to stay thinking about exactly what I'm doing in front of me and not get complacent, not go into like some other mode, because you can miss something. And then if you miss something, it could be a wrap. And like when I used to work on J-Stars, I worked on a whole bunch of different planes, but the airplane I worked on that had the biggest crew were the J-Stars. And I did a lot on those planes. I'd run the engines, trim them, do all types of stuff. And again, one lapse in thought, and you got a crew of 30 people dead. Okay. So the stakes are high. You know what I'm saying? And you had to be very vigilant to make it. Now, the way the military works, when you first come in, you're an airman, you know, you make it senior airman. And as a mechanic, you become seven. You got levels. It's a 3 level, 5 level, 7 level. I became a 7 level, and then on top of that, I became Red X qualified. That means you're able to clear a plane for flight based on the work you did. So we would install engines on these planes and and replace components on them. And I'd look the whole thing over and watch the whole job be done. And then I would sign that job off and say, hey, this is ready for flight. And it's a heavy responsibility. You signing people's lives away, all that stuff. You see what I'm saying? So it took me having to figure out a way to develop a high level of vigilance, a high level of awareness. There can be no negligence in that. Is the stakes are high. It's funny because prior to that, I was in. I grew when I came through high school. Or as I went through school, when I was in elementary, whatever, they diagnosed me hyperactive, learning disabled. All through school, I was in them special classes. You know what I'm saying? When I got to high school, you know what I'm saying? I duck out and go into my class because people be like, Mike, you in that class? And it was a mess. Come to find out, when you learn more about yourself, because I don't learn the typical way. I have a hard time sitting in a lecture type environment. I have a hard time sitting and receiving instruction that way. I learn by doing and watching. You know what I'm saying? I learn by watching something be done and asking questions and this, that, and the other. And that's the type of learner I am. I'm not there are other people, they're good auditory. We actually have a brother here in our assembly. He's an auditory learner. He likes to receive instruction and learn in a lecture type environment. And me, I learn. I'm like people who are around me, man. I like to jump into something and figure it out while we in it. You know what I'm saying? Other people are terrified of that. They're like, "What are you doing? We need to take a class or read a book first, man. Don't they have classes on this?" I'll be like, "Yeah, this is the class. Let's figure it out." Boom, and I figure stuff out. That's just the type of mind, whatever. But when I got in the military and I became a mechanic, because I'm also very mechanical, I picked all this stuff up, But the thing I didn't pick up that I had to develop was attention, because I had trouble, being attentive to certain things. And I had to do whatever it took and use whatever willpower I had in certain situations, no matter what, to be vigilant and to be attentive and to have no lapses in that. And I'm putting all that out there. I'm saying all that. I told that whole long story just to show you that what we're going to get into and is, there's really no excuse to it. Okay. It's critical. This is a lesson I've been working on for months now. And when I say for months, I'm not working hard on it, just working at it. But in right now, this period we're in, it's I think it's a critical time for me to just do a show on this lesson, because I've actually done this lesson with the Saints here in Straightway Studio. Okay. But I haven't done a show on it. And, we've had a lot of situations in our assembly, especially while we were down there in Florida, that showed there was a serious spirit of inattentiveness, of negligence, of obliviousness, and even still in our assembly we still have that. And it's, we have to really go through the book and just face this thing head on, with humility. Because this thing is critical. Being vigilant is critical, and being sober minded, especially for us as assemblies, I'm sure as communities. The word says one sinner can destroy much good. And again, here in our assembly, we have seen this firsthand. And we'll go through some of the situations that happen. We'll leave people, places, things, or whatever as anonymous as we can, but it's definitely a good learning lesson. You know what I'm saying? Because it's imperative that we protect ourselves. You protect yourself from the spirit of negligence. And me as a head of assembly, I have to really discern people who are wrestling with spirits of negligence, spirits of inattentiveness. I have to really discern these people and who are wrestling with it, and I have to position them so that they don't cause harm to anyone. You know what I'm saying? It's just real talk. So, but we're going to go into this and really bring light on this, like on these types of spirits that cause people to not be aware of what's going on in them or around them. Okay? Because that's what this is. And it starts with what's in you, because it says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh around seeking whom he may devour. He's looking for those people who are inattentive, who are prone to that, so that he can either spiritually or literally get them. You know what I'm saying? He can spiritually or literally cause them harm. Okay. And it's real. So let's get into this. Let's see. So yeah, we're gonna get into this. Let's see what I have here. Okay, we're gonna get this Proverbs chapter. Make sure my mic is positioned correctly. Okay. So we're gonna get into this Proverbs chapter 1. We're gonna start at verse 23. And we're going to read all the way to verse 33. It says, turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. This is the Most High. He's making known his word to us. Because I have called and ye refuse, I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not fear me. For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would none of my counsel. They despise all my reproof. Therefore shall thy eat of the fruit of thine own way, and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet from fear of evil. So, you know, in the dead season, I have a healthy fear of Yah that comes up, and really I do a spiritual audit of what's going on around me. Okay. Let me see. It says, so what I have here are definitions. Okay. And we're gonna read through these definitions. Hey, who is that? Who is that? What, you gonna be on? You gonna be on live? All right, go ahead. Say shalom, Corey. Wave to everybody. Interrupting the show. We'll wait for her to come out. But what I have is let's see. What I have is a bunch of definitions, and we're gonna go through each of these definitions. I'll probably come back to that one. We could go. All right. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna go through each of these definitions, okay? And what it's gonna do is really break down the being sober, being vigilant. Is gonna really put some meat on this word, on what that word means, okay? So let's go through these. I got a bunch of definitions of what vigilant is, because it said be sober, be vigilant. Okay, so let's really get the meat off the bone of what being vigilant means. Vigilant means being very careful to notice things, signs of danger. Okay, example of signs of danger. So this is spiritually, like when these spirits get on you, and you even look discerning yourself and knowing that, oh, okay, I see I'm beginning to wrestle with this spirit, wrestle with this sin, and knowing, so you could get an early jump on dealing with spirits that you might be wrestling with, when you might need deliverance or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So being very careful to notice things. Vigilant. Here's another definition. Use vigilant to describe someone who keeps awake and alert in order to avoid danger or problems. So it's like you see people, a sign of people who are asleep and not awake, they just constantly got issues going on in their life. Their life is a chaos. Okay, there's a spirit of chaos around their life. That's something you could discern as somebody who is not vigilant. Here's another definition. To be vigilant is to be watchful or alert for danger or some other kind of trouble. Okay. Here's another definition of vigilant. Vigilant suggests intense, unremitting, weary watchfulness. Okay. And even right now, especially that definition, that was a very good one. It said intense, unremitting watchfulness. Like right there, I know a lot of y'all are like, man, y'all know people who are very vigilant, and then y'all know people who are the opposite of vigilant. Okay. So I have synonyms or antonyms of vigilance. The opposite of vigilant: negligent, inattentive. Okay. And right there, a lot of y'all people are coming to mind, like, yeah, or it might be you. Okay. So negligent, not being careful or giving enough attention to people or things that are your responsibility. Okay. And as a man, as a men even more so, because what, we're the heads, we're the heads of our families. It's imperative that we be attentive, and that we don't become negligent, that we don't practice negligence and inattentiveness. And unfortunately, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. uh I did a show on it a while back. A lot of these new social media apps with these real videos, REEL videos, these videos you just scan them, boom, boom, go next one, like on TikTok. Unfortunately, those videos train inattentiveness. They train your mind to have a short attention span, to be inattentive, and to just get sucked into eh, 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 and it trains your inattentiveness. It trains your inability to focus and to concentrate. Guess what trains attentiveness? Excuse me. Guess what trains attentiveness? Reading. So why not read that word? Because that reading that word trains attentiveness. Um, it's just I have to go into more things that train attentive. Anytime you have to focus your mind on stuff you don't want to focus it on, it trains attentiveness. Like me, for instance, I have to sit there and do invoices and other corny, boring paperwork for our business. But guess what? It trains attentiveness. Um, there's a lot of stuff that trains it, but reading the word is a good one. Um, we're gonna get into solutions, a lot of, because I'm not just gonna beat you down with the problem and not provide some very productive, efficient solutions. So, all right. So negligent, not being careful or giving enough attention to people or things that are your responsibility. Okay. Here's another definition of negligent: failing to take proper care in doing something. And like I said, with us, y'all, uh, with the type of work we do as an assembly, like our main work is technical work of a highly technical nature, and a lot of times of a mechanical nature. So what happens here at Straightway Studio, we quickly see people who are inattentive and just really not there. Like when you got people doing technical work and mechanical work, it's like literally you seeing how their brain works right in front of you. You know, you see them miss things, you see them do things, this, that, and the other. But even more so than that, when you live communally as an assembly, you really see uh, you can really see the inattentive people versus the attentive people who are just locked in and seeing everything. And you feel the effects of that, of being negligent and inattentive. It affects everybody in an assembly or when you're living communally. Okay, it affects everybody. And this is just listening to a lot of what goes on in different communities and stuff like that. This is like the elephant in the room. It's like a dark, subtle cloud that looms over in a lot of communities, just these types of people who are inattentive, and unknowingly to them, because they're inattentive, they have this dark effect on the community. So it's like, you know, so let's look at another one. Failing to take proper care in doing something. And we have to do our work with excellence. So this is where you'll see this come to fruition a lot, especially again when you come together with your brothers and sisters. Okay, negligent. Here's some more definitions: showing a lack of attention or care, careless, marked by lack of attention or consideration or forethought or thoroughness, not careful, delinquent, derelict, neglectful, remiss, failing in what duty requires, slack, lacking in rigor or strictness, hit and run, involving a driver of a motor vehicle who leaves the scene of an accident inattentive, neglectful, not showing due care or attention. And the thing is, we're going to get into it more, but you have to make a decision to be attentive. Okay. When I got in the Air Force and they started going through them classes, because you spend damn near the first year training on all this stuff, trying to learn all this stuff. Then they put you out there. But shoot, you get through that training and they show you some things on how dangerous some of this stuff is. Like in the Air Force, just putting air in the tires on the airplane is lethal. We air those tires up to 300 psi. Okay, just to put that in so you can reference that, like a bike tire. A bike tire, you air that up to 16 psi. A car tire, 30 to 40 psi. Okay, that's pounds per square inch. An airplane tire, you air that thing up to 350 psi, or that's what we aired the the airplane tires up to on the plane I worked on. Some, I want to say, go up even higher than that. Those tires explode, it's a wrap. So anyway, there was a neglectful airman who went and he, instead of using a low pack, it's a low nitrogen car. You air these tires up with nitrogen. Instead of using the proper unit to air up the airplane tires, which is called a low pack. They call it a low pack because it goes from 0 to 0 to 500 psi. So that's the pressure range it can work in. So they call it a low pack. So instead of using that, he used a high pack to air up the airplane tire. And the high pack goes from 1,000 to 3,000 psi, I want to say. Okay, I might be wrong. It's been a while, but it's in the thousands. So he aired the tire up with a high pack. He cracked that thing open. He opened it up a little bit and hit that tire with like 1,000 psi, and the tire exploded. And in the picture, all that was left of him, it looked like somebody took ground beef and threw it all over the place. That was all that was left of him. Okay. He was negligent. And boy, out there on a flight line, that's what we call it, out there where we work on those planes at, it is not the place. I mean, a lot of people been injured and messed up out there. Working on them planes, boy, they dangerous. Just literally walking in the wrong place could be the end of you, because you could get sucked in one of the engines. And if you know anybody, I worked around a lot of people who were in the Navy, man. That's one of the most dangerous workplaces is on those aircraft carriers, okay, on those flight decks. And it's just not any room for that. And but you can't, but anyway, coming into the Air Force, they showed us all that stuff. They showed us these dangers, and it locked, boom, boy, I was locked in at that. Then they put you out there on the flight line with all these loud planes and all this stuff going on. And if you got any common sense, you know that you are in a dangerous work environment. So I stayed locked in. You couldn't go in there with your mind somewhere else out there working. You could get hurt. And you know, if we get some of these brothers who are special, who are in the special forces, you know, these high level military units like Pastor and Brother Gideon and stuff like that, they'll tell you even more. Like I've seen Gideon, he actually develops an ability to lock all the way in. So he'd be one to really speak on that. But there's no room for inattentiveness and negligence and mindlessness and stuff like that. Let's get into another definition. We're going to get into some more definition that really locks into this thing even more. And it's called oblivious, being oblivious to what's going on around you. Lacking, here's a definition of oblivious: lacking awareness, unmindful, unaware, unconscious, failing to remember, forgetful. So just like, oh man, what happened there? You're oblivious to what's going on. Okay. And I know some of this stuff I'm saying, if you're one of these people or you know people like this and dealing with them, or if you're like this, it's almost like oblivious, huh? I'm oblivious. And you actually being oblivious while you're figuring out what oblivious is. And it could be like trying to teach a fish to ride a bike, trying to figure this thing out and figuring out, well, like, because if you're inattentive, how do you know you're inattentive if you're inattentive? We're going to fix it. But yeah, there's a way. Because that, it wouldn't be in the word. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8 wouldn't be in the word if it wasn't something that you can attain to, okay? So it says not aware is another definition of oblivious. Not aware of or not concerned about what is happening around one, okay? Oblivious, not aware. Here's another definition: not aware of or not noticing something, what is happening around you. She was often oblivious to the potential consequences. And this isn't just what's going on around you. Just, you see people who are just oblivious in their thinking, like, hey, you know that's dangerous, or boom, or did you think of what's going to happen once you do that? Boom, 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 boom. We can see people who are about this very quickly just with our business and what we do. Like we'll bring people, we bring a lot of people out there. They'll work within telecom 1 or 2 days, and we won't even tell them, because some people are just so far inattentive and they're so far gone on what they're doing. We don't even tell them. We just like, okay, like, we'll hit you back if we need you. Something like that. But oblivious, just totally, you know. Here's another definition of oblivious: lacking conscious awareness of. Okay. Here's another definition of oblivious, the last one: lacking awareness, unmindful, unaware, unconscious, failing to remember, forgetful. Okay. So again, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. If you are oblivious, if you lack vigilance, you are a target for Satan. Okay. In whatever area you seem to lack, in whatever area you lack sobriety and vigilance in. Here's a definition of sober: to be calm and collected in spirit, to be temperate, dispassionate, circumspect, weary, and unwilling to take risks. Okay. So everything you do, you take precautions to make sure it's going to happen and function the correct way. Look, I, I'm I'm not just sitting here saying stuff because I'm Mr. Perfect. If any of y'all watch the Shabbat message this past Shabbat, Michael Israel was not vigilant with the audio and with the video. Okay, because it was not good, and it was because I failed to take the proper precautions, and I failed to be vigilant setting all that up. Okay, so it's real, but again, you can't be sitting up here with pride, making excuses. I can't stand excuses. You know what I'm saying? And look, after Shabbat, Pastor was like, "That was really bad," you know, and I was like, "Yeah, you know," and the natural knee jerk reaction is to sit there like I was. I was like, "Well, you know, I was training the new guys," and then I was like, "You know what?" In my mind, I was like, "Man, shut the f up." That's what I was saying to myself. Because look, like what's his name? Like Elder Rob be saying, there's no excuses, there's only excellent execution. And again, because and again, I'm really coming at the men, but women, this to women too. But as men, there's no excuses. There's only excellent execution. A lot of us were raised in a feminized home and nurtured by women and never received nurturing from a man, which masculine nurturing don't accept no BS. You're going to own whatever you do. But a lot of us has grown up in feminized homes and, oh, it's okay, baby. Everybody messes up sometimes. Oh, you little poor cute thing and all that. Nah, that ain't life. Life teaches you the lesson. That life gives you the test first, and then the lesson comes. And you got to be vigilant. You got to be watchful, especially as men. As us, we're what? We're the protectors of the home, the protectors and providers. So we got to stay locked in. We got to stay vigilant. It says, unless there's a Bible verse, somebody please post it in here for me, please. It says, unless one stays diligently to the word, Satan will overcome his home. You know, unless you diligently heed Yah's word, Satan will overrun the home. I forget how that whole is. I think it's in Sirach. I think it's in the Apocrypha in Sirach. But it says, unless a man diligently adheres to Yah's word, his home will soon be overrun. Okay? And as a man, as a husband, as a man of the word, as righteous men, we have to be vigilant about our homes, and when I say about our homes spiritually, we have to be vigilant when it comes to our homes and our families and our wives and our children. And it's a constant battle and war. And the women are the weaker vessels. So they need a man to be that covering and that guidance. And let me say this too, man. Like I tell a lot of the young brothers that come into this thing. I was talking to some brothers earlier this week, explaining life to them and the way life really is. And the way life is, you're presented with all these choices and they're bright neon lights. and they're flashing, they're flickering, they're bright, and they making sounds, and they're getting your attention, and they're fighting for your attention. All these choices. But the right choice is there's no lights on it. It's down in the corner behind something where you can't see it. And that's the correct choice. And this is the way life is. This is the way the choices in life are. Everything's bright and obvious and this, that, and the other. But the right way to go is very dimly lit, where you could barely see it, only if you're really looking for it. And that's life. And that's why a lot of these men just, especially you brothers in your 20s and you sisters in your 20s, dude, when you're in your 20s, you still don't know nothing. You don't begin to understand the patterns of life till you begin getting in your 30s. And then by the time you get in your 40s, if you've been seeking wisdom, you're going to begin to hit your stride and be like, okay, I seen that. Yep, I know what that is. Nope, don't do that. Nope, over here. Yep, don't do that. You hit your 50s, forget about it. You done been there, done that, had the t-shirt, wore it, washed it, ironed it. You know what I'm saying? But in your 20s, man, all this stuff is still new. All these decisions are still new. And when I say when you're in your 20s, all this stuff is still new, this is if you're in your 20s and you're an unfathered man, where you weren't raised by a righteous father who fathered you and led you, and you know what I'm saying, in a righteous way, you're gonna just go out here and you're gonna fall into a trap. Like the brothers I was talking to, man, that they had fell into, you got the drug trap, you got the woman trap, you got the job trap, you got the legal traps, you got, you name it, financial trap. That is all out there to trap you and destroy you. And it's imperative that we diligently adhere. Hey, Antonio, can you post the whole scripture? Can you post that? Was that 2 Corinthians? If that's the scripture, 8:22 or whatever. Yeah, post that in there if that's it. Okay. But we have to be locked in. And if you're younger, you need to be up under some gray-haired men. Some men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, older, elder men who have been there, done that. They've seen things and they get it. Okay. Now look, I'll be 100. Like even in the Air Force, I've seen people in the Air Force, fathered men came in there in their 20s, just shaking and moving. Boom, boom, boom. It took me years to get to that level. I had a father in my life who, from the big dangers, he guided me, like the drugs and certain things. He steered me from that. The general idea of what it is to be a man, he gave me that framework, but a lot of stuff was still left out there, like women and all this other stuff, So yeah. But yeah, post the text in there, because I can't look the verse up. So if somebody could post 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 22 in there, because when I'm doing these shows, I can't go pull it up and read it. Okay. All right. The definition of sober: to be calm, collected in spirit, to be temperate, dispassionate, circumspect, weary, unwilling to take risks. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. Okay, let's read this. It says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Again, a lot of these people, again, we got a lot in our assembly. It is something that I'm going to have to go to war against, is this inattentive spirit going on around here. A lot of people are not trusting. This is the problem. And like I said, we're going into the answers of, okay, Mike, I am inattentive. I am not vigilant. How do I fix that? We're going to get into it right now. This is that part. Okay. Um, because like I said, I see it. It's like an epidemic with people being like this. And you can be unaware, but at the end of the day, what does it come down to? What's the issue? A lack of obedience to Yah's word. You're not meditating on that word day and night. You're not meditating on the word day and night. You're meditating on something else. A lot of y'all are meditating on social media. Y'all meditating on TikTok and Instagram, stuff like that, and it's just frying your attention muscle. It's just wearing that thing out. It's just letting it go. Because think about it. To watch TikTok, you don't need to have attention. It just keeps your attention. You don't need to try to focus or nothing. You just let your tongue come out, and you get dumber. Okay. Especially if you're not trying to control your algorithm on there, it can really mess you up. All right. So we got the verse 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 22. And we have sent with them our brother, whom we have oftentimes proved diligent in many things, but now much more diligent upon the great confidence which I have in you. Okay, brother, I think brother Ronnie posted the scripture, Sirach 27:3. That's it. Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown. So a lot, there's a lot of men out there, because they're not vigilant about the word of the Most High and letting the Most High guide their footsteps through this thing. Satan overthrows their house and the family's busted. You see what I'm saying? I could really go into this deep, get granular with how that would be and how things fall apart. But again, if you're not diligently holding to the ways of the Most High, soon your house will fall apart. Your family will fall apart. It'll be a wrap. Okay? That would be a whole nother show, because I know that's pretty broad, Mike. I don't know, man. Just believe it. We'll have a show about it soon. Antonio said, what would they do if they lost internet for a week? Hey, I'll tell you, they get smarter. That's what will happen. They become more attentive. All right. So it says, let's go to the next one. So we said Proverbs. So like I said, like Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 said, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. And says, lean not unto thine own understanding. And what does thine own understanding look like? Your feelings, being in your feelings, being in your emotions. That's what your own understanding looks like. You're in your feelings, you're in your emotions, you're doing what feels good to you. You're doing things your way, not according to thus saith Yah. It says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Hey, listen, y'all, even way back when, man, I remember knowing that, it's dangerous out here. And really praying for y'all to guide my path, and because I know how dangerous this is, and just always having that desire to want to know the way. You know what I'm saying? And even today, it's still the same. Like, I see how dangerous it is out here, how easy it is to just kind of get complacent and, you know, and it could just be a wrap where you just cause a lot of destruction and stuff like that. Really being aware enough to know when, hey, what are they? And I'm talking about even in relationships, hearing what people are really saying to you. What are they saying? What's really going on? You know, and not being what? Oblivious to things going on in a relationship with people or things going on around you when I'm working on cars and stuff like that, or just anything, you know, really being locked in. Because there's a scripture where it says, because the days are evil. Okay. And I put here, man, this is a heavy one. I read this to our saints here. I wrote here, I look at the self-convenience of people's excuses and lack of commitment. Okay. So I listen to people's excuses, and then look what I put here. I put, it's amazing how the excuses people tell me are the same ones I hear and get tempted with. So the same excuses people come to me with, and that's all they are, is excuses. And there's no excellence of execution, but the people come to me with excuses, and it's like, yo, you know, I don't want to be an ass to people, but it's like, yo, I hear the same stuff in my mind. Instead of manning up and own it, we own it. That's what we do. We own it, own that thing, get better. You know what I'm saying? Like me, for instance, the audio and the video was trash. Okay. But guess what? We're going to see how it is this next Shabbat coming up. Because hey, at some point this week, we're gonna go up there, practice. We're gonna be tweaking stuff. We're gonna try to work bugs out. We're gonna test some more tune, and we're gonna get it right. Maybe it won't be perfect this Shabbat, but it's an ongoing. It's warfare. It's combat, and the only time, you know, when the war. You're defeated when you give up, when you don't try. That's it. But that's why I don't get defeated, because I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep banging on it. I'm gonna stay what? Diligent, like the brother said. He posted that verse there about being diligent, like the verse I just put up there. It said diligently. Okay, unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown. Okay, but we got to be what? Diligent. Somebody post a definition of that word in there. But that's what it's about, is being diligent, diligently holding ourselves to Yah's word. Okay. But like I said, people come, they come with these excuses, and it's like, okay, I know that's the same stuff. Spirits be trying to give me them excuses too. The word I wrote here: expose sin before it exposes you. Now let's get into what's the answer, what's the solution. Okay. You've discerned that, hey, I am negligent. I lack vigilance. You know, this thing, every time I turn around, there is something. I am goofing something up or messing something up. You know, what's the answer? What's the answer to that? Okay. Well, one of them I already gave, and I talked about diligently locking yourself into the word, like getting into it. Okay. Reading these scriptures and just literally reading, just sitting there reading the word is going to cause you to begin becoming more attentive and being aware of, okay, I'm reading the word. Okay, my mind drifted off to this. Okay, you're going to use that muscle, pull it back to what you're reading. All right, now I'm thinking about doing this and this distraction. Okay, work that muscle again. You're doing curls. Woo, woo, woo. Strengthening that attention and studying the word and seeking the Father. A lot of y'all got spirits on you. Spirits of inattentiveness. Y'all saw the video. If you haven't, go check it out on Pastor Corey's channel, Straightway KC. Go check out that video. It's a half-hour video of the brother, I forget what the brother's name is, giving a testimony of how he got a spirit of inattentiveness and passive mind or whatever. He got delivered from that spirit, and he was like, man, he was like, he could think clear, you know. Yeah, go watch that video. These are spirits that's on a lot of people. But again, if you got a spirit of pride, you ain't gonna see it. You ain't gonna want to see it. Okay, so these are spirits. So that's a big part. Again, seeking the Father, praying, fasting, seeking the Lord, studying that word, getting deliverance with your brothers. Okay, that's another solution. A lot of y'all, let's get into this. Y'all know y'all knew I was gonna go here. Is your diets. Okay, is your diets. I did a whole show showing how these grains, how they affect your nervous system, the effect they have on your brain, making your thoughts cloudy and stuff like that. A lot of these diets that people on, they're eating too much grain and too much protein, and they're just clogging stuff up. Okay, change that diet. Eat fruits that are gonna cleanse you out and get things moving again. Cleanse you out. Get, some of the herbs I sell that'll clean you out, get on that. It's not complicated, y'all. It's just putting forth the effort. Okay. He put the definition of diligent up there. Okay. Characterized by steady, earnest, and energetic effort, painstaking. So it requires discipline. A lot of people, they don't got that. They don't have that spirit. They don't have that fighting spirit. They have a spirit of passivity. They got a soft, weak, effeminate spirit. You gotta have a warfare. It's war, it's combat. Brother Ronnie posts diligently. It says, in a way that shows care and conscientiousness in one's work or duties. So you're locked in. When I say be locked in, be engaged, that's what we're talking about. You're conscious and you're taking care in what you're doing. He put having or showing. So he posted the same one. And then he posted Hebrew word for diligent. Okay. So he posted the Hebrew word for it. But this is what it is, y'all. It's staying locked in. And it's staying locked in all things. A lot of times there's laziness. There's people that just don't like to think. They just prefer to be in the vegetative state. So TikTok and social media is very appealing to them. They love just put on, like me. I could sit and watch a movie, but only so much, only so long. I can't sit there. Like, I gotta be locked in. I gotta be doing something. I gotta, you know what I'm saying? I gotta be learning something or working on something or doing something. You know what I'm saying? But some people, it's opposite. So these brothers, these sisters need to seek the Most High Yah to help them with this, to guide their footsteps, to lead them. They need to get in that word and study scriptures and verses on this thing. Okay? Because why? Because if you stay in that state, your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, is walking around seeking who he may devour. Does that make sense, y'all? Y'all put a 100 up in there if y'all get that. I just wanted to come straight down the middle with that. Complacency. Here's another definition. This is now, I saved this for last because this is where pride comes in. And like I said, we see all manner of inattentiveness. We see all manner of lack of vigilant, uh, people lacking the spirit of vigilance for differing reasons. But one of them is complacency. And it says a feeling of quiet pleasure and security, often while unaware of some potential danger, defect, or the like. Self-satisfaction or smug satisfaction with an existing situation or condition. Okay? So it's a type of stubbornness, of prideful stubbornness, where look, folks ain't gonna get it. They just gonna stay in that. No, it ain't. You just you have a feeling of quiet pleasureness and self-satisfaction and smug satisfaction in what you're doing, and you're totally unaware of the potential danger. And I'm telling you, you could talk to some of the saints in Straightway Studio. They've seen this thing firsthand. Okay, firsthand. I've been a part of this thing. Okay, and it's real. And this is something that light really needs to be shed on, because what happens, you'll have people who are inattentive, people who lack, this is what they call it in the Air Force, they lack attention to detail. They're unaware, they're not vigilant, they are negligent. And what happens is, people aren't aware, and everybody in the assembly is like, why aren't we moving forward? Why are we in the same position we've been in for so and so? Why is something always negative befalling us? Boom, 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 boom. And everybody's like, what the heck's going on? Why aren't we moving forward? This is what happened with our assembly, until we realized there was a lot of negligence. There was a lot of obliviousness. There was a lot of inattentiveness. There was a lot of complacency around us. And we realized, and still realize, that we need to come down on this. We need to get serious about this and deal with it and face it and get on it. You know what I'm saying? And really deal with these spirits or that are in us that are causing this, or whether it's life choices we're making, whether it's dietary choices we're making, or whatever the case may be. Deal with it, and how should we deal with it? Somebody put it in the comments. Deal with it in what manner? In a what type of manner? Let's see if somebody's gonna put it in the comments. I'll give y'all a couple seconds to put in what manner we should deal with these types of I guess you call it behaviors. You know what I'm saying? Whether in ourselves or around us. I'll give a sec for it to pop in there. But yeah, there's a specific way we need to deal with it. And let's see. All right, somebody put in it. Okay. No. The way we need to deal with this is in a diligent way, in a way that shows care and conscientiousness in one's work or duties. We got to diligently deal with these types of situations. Okay? And like Rodney also said we have to be vigilant. Okay. And somebody said with extreme prejudice. Okay. All right. Somebody posted, let's see. Somebody said, I noticed one thing over the years. Our people are good at making empty promises. A lot of no shows. Yeah. And it's sad. I mean, it shouldn't be among us if we profess to be, and this is something I tell the saints that are part of our of a Straightway Studio. I tell them, we sit here and we fancy ourselves as people of the Most High Yah. We are walking this thing out in spirit and in truth. We are serious about this thing, okay? And we say we claim to be those type of people, but yeah, I can't tell you the number of empty promises I get. And it's like I understand you're not gonna do everything, but when it's something where it's like, and I tell people this all the time, I'm like, I don't expect y'all to do every single thing I say and be jumping all that. But there's certain things, man, I come to people with, and I'm like, I need you on this. I need this. You know what I'm saying? And a number of people who will just not follow through with what they commit to, it's disturbing. It is disturbing to say the least. Okay. So Brother Chris put Sirach, he said, wise people exercise caution in everything, and in time of sin, they will take heed against error. That's a good one, Brother Chris. That's Sirach 18:27. He used the CEB version of the of Sirach. He put on there. So that's good. That's a good one. Yeah, so but yeah, y'all. That is all I have. That's what I wanted to bring out today. I almost didn't come on because I got other stuff I'm working on, but I pretty much making I'm trying to consistently be on Mondays at around 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. I haven't totally settled in on the time, but yeah, I gotta settle in on exactly the time, but I'm gonna try to be on every Monday. On Tuesdays, I might do a health show. Definitely need to get into that because from what I'm being told by people that are out there is that, and I looked on the news a little bit too. They're saying, man, this thing is this Rona thing, the plague, we'll call it the plague of the end times, is hitting the U.S. like never before. They said it's worse than it was at the beginning. So they one of the brothers hit me up today. He's put a message out just saying how at both of his jobs they are just, man, they are on them. Like people coming down with it. They're sending out warnings to everybody and all that. And then the clot shot that they gave everybody ain't working. It's just taking folks out, And now they're beginning to realize that it's causing the clots, So, but yeah, that ain't doing nothing but prolonging the inevitable or something like that. The people dropping left and right from getting that shot. So yeah, it's bad out there, y'all. But like I said, you got household herbs, you got the antiviral. Order it. You know what I'm saying? and take it. But anyway, y'all, that is all I have. That's all I'm putting out for today. I hope this was a blessing to you. If it was, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Hold on one sec. All right. Let me so yeah, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. And with that said, appreciate all y'all tuning in. And shalom, shalom.